All right, team, you can get started whenever you're ready.
All right. Oh, Avatar. Okay, well, thank you everybody for joining us. We appreciate you guys spending the time with us. Couple quick housekeeping things before we get started. My name is John Inciso. I'm the field CTO for the North America Infrastructure Solutions Group for Lenovo. We've got a couple things. So we've got 3 presenters, so we're all going to take about 15 minutes. We really want you guys to be asking questions. So in order to help us keep tabs on that, please put your questions in the chat. The team's going to be monitoring to make sure that we get those questions addressed while we're talking. So let me go ahead and get us forward. So we're talking about accelerated computing and edge orchestration. So what do we mean by that? So let's go to the next slide, and we'll go ahead and give you an overview. So I'm going to talk a little bit about our artificial intelligence strategy, and then Aaron's going to talk a little bit about our ThinkStation to help complement the power user's toolbox. And then Alejandro is going to talk about practical AI at the edge. So again, we're going to take about 15 minutes a piece. So what we want to do is make sure you guys get everything that you need. So what we're going to do is I'm going to jump straight into our AI strategy. So what is Lenovo's AI strategy? So let's go ahead and go to the next slide. First thing I want to do, because we all seem to be speaking AI, but it really, the more I talk to customers, the more what they mean by AI tends to be very mushy and change depending on the day of the week and the fancy article that just hit the news press. So when we're talking about AI, a couple different things. AI in and of itself, it's a broad overarching term, right? It's basically using an algorithm and a set of data to solve a business intelligence problem in a way similar to the way a human being would. So rather than just straight math, it's starting to use algorithms to crunch through data. Now, that's the broad field of study. Underneath that, you have machine learning, and this is the non-sexy part of AI. This is the kind of AI that you're probably using today. If you've got Outlook, there's already some machine learning built into Outlook. If you've got a mobile device, there's already machine learning built in there. So this is really an algorithm that interacts with data and is able to create outcomes without human intervention. So instead of explicitly saying if this, then that, you give it a broad set of parameters and that algorithm chews through to arrive at this. Again, we've been using machine learning for years. We've been using AI for at least since the 60s. So this is not new. Machine learning has really been accelerated by the advent of accelerators, GPUs, NVIDIA, AMD, Intel. So that's really driven a lot of that. Now, a subset of underneath machine learning is what we call deep learning. So this is where you create something called an artificial neural network. Now, this is a really complicated term. I'm not going to go into a lot of depth, but essentially you have what are called neurons. And a neuron is basically a feature extraction algorithm. And you have lots of different neurons arrayed in lots of different layers. And there's this concept from psychology called neurons that fire together, wire together. And that's basically what happens with deep learning. So we're able to take all these little feature extraction neurons. And so anybody here, if you've ever done, you look in your camera roll, your photo stream, your whatever it's called, you pick your photo app of choice, and you can tag your face. Guess what? That's deep learning. So you're already using it, right? So you extract the features of your face, and then you can tag that. Now, a subset of that is what's called generative AI. So where deep learning looks at data and extracts features out of it, generative AI uses the same deep learning neural networks, but rather than simply extracting features, it over a vast set of data. So most of these large language models, which we'll talk about, but most generative AI is trained on multiple petabytes of data. And what generative AI does, literally what it talks about. So rather than chewing through data and giving you an outcome, you can interact with generative AI. And what it can do is it can actually generate insights from that data or generate new content. Large language models are an output of generative AI. There's something everybody here is, I'm sure, familiar with ChatGPT. So that's what's called a generative pre-trained model. And what a large language model is, it's rather than you interacting in, let's say, code, you can actually now program in English, in French, whatever that language may be. LLMs are trained on the internet. They basically scrape the contents of the internet. Now, why is that important? That's important because generative AI is this new technology. It's driving tons of interactivity. It's putting the power of AI in the hands of people that in the past would never have been able to interact with it. And so it's opening up all kinds of new avenues for ways to have AI deliver business value. So Aaron, let's go to the next slide. So now that we've kind of got that out of the way, understanding AI, this is why Lenovo has a strategy of what we call AI for all. So personal, private, and public. What does that mean? That means being able to take these big, weighty AI concepts and boil them down so that you can actually use AI for you. So it's being able to bring it down and run it on a mobile device, run it on a workstation. So it's AI for a specific thing for you. So it's making you more productive. Private, when we talk about AI for all and being private AI, this is where do I put that AI model to ensure what we call governance, right? Security controls. This is where private AI comes in. And this is where Alejandro is going to talk about our edge story around AI. And then when we talk about public, this is your public cloud providers, right? Amazon, Microsoft, Google, that are all ChatGPT, that are all providing these massive public models for people to interact with. Now, those are great, but they bring a whole raft of security concerns and data leakage concerns from a governance perspective. And then really the other piece is, how do you know what went into that model? Because you don't really know. When you're training it on the entire corpus of the internet, who knows what you're going to get back? So this is why we have a personal, private, and public solution for AI as part of our overall strategy. In this slide, I know that chart is what you can't see is those are all logos. So when we think about the AI landscape for 2023 and even 2024, hundreds and hundreds of AI startups. There's a site I subscribe to called VentureBeat, and literally every day I get yet another email about yet another startup that's come up with yet another new idea to use AI. So for those of you guys that are old enough to remember the internet rush, congratulations, we're back there. So this massive set of all these AI startups coming out, it's really makes it very difficult to know where to place your bets. And this is why it's really important, because a lot of folks, they don't want to build, right? Some folks, yeah, they're going to build their own AI capability, but that requires a lot of horsepower, requires a lot of data, requires a lot of data science skill that a lot of folks may not have and may not want to invest in. What they want is they want to buy AI capability. The problem is, if you're going to buy AI capability, you got to bet on one of these folks on this slide. How do you know? Here's the scary part. North of 50% of AI POCs never make it into production. So how do you figure it out? This is one of the things that Lenovo has done as part of our AI strategy. We have something called AI Innovators Partner Ecosystem. And what we'll do is, when we talk a little bit about this, to help explain this for you, and Alejandro is going to go into some more concrete examples as well. I'll touch on to a couple of them. Aaron, if you want to go to the next one. So what the whole purpose of the AI Innovators Program is to help accelerate adoption of AI to solve one of these, what I call three big problems: time, money, or risk. And so what we've done is we evaluate all of these AI partners across those three axes. What is your risk if you decide to go with this? Do they do facial recognition? And maybe that's not a risk you're willing to take. Okay, we call that out. Is this going to actually help you save time? Is this going to make money or save money? That's what we do with the AI Innovators Program. And that's actually at the heart of our AI strategy, whether it's public, private, or personal. It's helping you solve for those three things. So if we go to the next slide, so these are some key CIO business imperatives, right? What are folks trying to do? Customer experience and satisfaction is massively important for every business today. Why? Because it's cheaper to retain a customer than it is to acquire a customer. How do they adopt these new emerging technologies? There was a recent Gartner article that said that's north of 65% of companies are investing in AI, and particularly in Gen AI. Most of them really not sure where to go with that. And the hope is that I can attach AI to revenue acceleration. Flip side of that, this whole concept of AI opens up a whole new can of worms from a cybersecurity and data privacy perspective. Also, if you're going to do AI, the fundamental component of AI that everybody needs is data. Number two. And the hope is that AI is going to do that transformation. So let's go to the next slide. So what we want you guys to think about is there's three ways to get to value with AI, right? You can buy it off the shelf. You can borrow it, which means you take an open source model and you embed it, and hopefully you've got some folks to help you deliver that, or you can build it yourself. Most of my customers fall into the buy and the borrow, and they're looking at it from an investment, differentiation, effort, and risk, and they're evaluating. So that's what our AI Innovators program is going to do, is help you think through all of this and decide what makes sense for you for your business. Let's go to the next one. So as part of that, you see we've got AI infrastructure. Alejandro is going to talk about our infrastructure at the edge and how we use AI there. We have other platforms that are designed specifically around multi-GPU boxes, whether you're doing training and investing money in hardware to create those new models, or you're doing inferencing, which means you're running that AI model as an application. Lenovo has that end-to-end portfolio. Part of that is also going to be, hey, I need to explore that data. That's where Aaron's going to talk about the workstations. Our AI Discover, this is what helps you guys figure out, if you're new to AI or trying to figure out how to get to value out of AI, this is where we come in, we can evaluate, help you figure that out. And last, as I've been talking about, our AI Innovators. So end to end, from endpoint to everywhere. So the important thing is, in our partnership with CDW, right? It takes a village to deploy cognitive solutions. I love that. I talk about it as AI requires an ecosystem of partners to be successful. If you succeed together, you fail alone. So we have 40 plus AI solution providers, lots of different solutions across many different companies, aligned both vertically with specific industries or horizontally. All of those are things that we can do. Let's go to the next slide. So let me talk on real quick a couple of practical use cases and make sure I'm not going to steal Alejandro's thunder, so I'm only going to choose a couple. So one of these is there's a generative AI. Remember, generative AI is this shiny chat GPT-like thing. So one of the things we used, we demonstrated at Circuit of the Americas in Austin. We partnered with Vistry, one of our AI innovation partners, to create this generative AI virtual assistant so that all these contingent staff that came could answer really important questions like, where's the bathroom? Sounds funny, but if you think about it, when you have 50,000 people converge to an event, how do you actually find a bathroom when you're walking in a city you've never been in before? So these are the kind of things that you can use, right? What happens if somebody slips and falls? Customers can ask questions. Where can I get the best taco? All of these things. That's how Vistry helped deliver that. We go to the next one. One of our partners, is Cognition. They are safety and security. They do things like perimeter defense, weapons detection, crowd and loitering. So we've worked with these folks very well. They're built on our SE450. Alejandro will talk about that, and they use what's called the Qualcomm Cloud AI 100 GPU. So for those folks that have smart spaces, safe spaces concerns. We've got a use case with La Jolla Country Day School. This is one of our partners that we've actually delivered this solution with. So again, safety and security, customer interactivity, lots of other different vertical use cases. Let's go to the next slide. Going back to build, borrow, and my friend Alan, who created this slide, calls it bespoke. But no matter what your use case is, we've got a platform end to end, exploration, training, or inference. So go ahead. Top 10 things I want you guys to take away. So I've talked about AI. You keep hearing me talk about it as a thing to solve a business problem. And that's important. You can't buy AI. Success, these are your 10 things for success. This is where you need to talk to your CDW team to figure out how can I actually do this successfully? Because again, succeed together, fail alone. I'm going to turn it over to Aaron to introduce himself and run through our ThinkStations.
Perfect. Thank you, John. Appreciate it. Quick mic check. Everybody hear me okay? Sound good? Awesome. Well, great to be here, everybody. Thank you for joining. Take some time out of your day. I'm Aaron Buckner. I'm actually the ThinkStation product manager for North America. I do look after the overall portfolio, so mobile workstations, anything Think P series. We've got some really exciting things we're doing this year around our solutions portfolio, but one of those being this idea of AI-ready workstation. But before we jump into some of those specific solutions, similar to what John had talked about, I want to kind of define where workstations view the opportunity for how they fit into these different use cases. And we really kind of try to bifurcate it into two different pillars. I use an 80-20 rule here, but when we look at the exploration, as John put it, the experimentation with some of these technologies and building them platforms, that's the 80%. That's the development. That's the data preparation, extraction, cleansing. A lot of opportunity there for customers just to get started, right? Before they to that point of defining the why, defining the answer that they want to find or the business problem they're trying to solve. Maybe they don't necessarily have the capital or the right business financial model to jump right into a larger, costlier type of infrastructure solution or even a cloud solution. So maybe experimentation, exploring could get them on the on-ramp with a AI-ready workstation, a high-end ThinkStation. There is another 20%. We're not going to talk a lot about it today, but this probably falls more into the personal AI side when we think about the Lenovo overall AI strategy. And this is the consumption, right? This is the AI-enabled workflows. And a lot of it, to John's point, in the professional space for workstation ISVs, creative design workflows like your Autodesks, your Adobe Suite, they're adopting these AI accelerated features within their software workflow. And of course, having the right hardware, like we always say with workstations and the certifications for these specific professional applications, if you have the right hardware, you're going to be able to take full advantage of those optimizations as they get integrated into the stack. So in a way, it's the inferencing side, the consumption, the AI accelerated workflow that a workstation can deliver, even in those power user workflows, right? And there's a few different pillars of examples there, whether it's in content creation, 110 plus AI applications that are fully bound to NVIDIA RTX technology, which is some of that special sauce from our NVIDIA partnership inside every workstation. Productivity, this is local execution of large language models, or even building your own custom private small language model. Some of y'all may have even seen that Chat with RTX is now in beta from NVIDIA, so you can build your own small language model on a professional desktop tower workstation or even a high-end mobile workstation. Again, just to get started, just depending on that data set side. Exploration, right? Research and development, design workflows, all of these are being augmented by a lot of these integrations of AI within the ISV workflow. So this is, again, kind of representative of that 20% and the consumption side. That's how we define it within workstations. But I think the bigger opportunity is certainly here. We look at the 80% for the development, the getting started, building the intelligence and delivering those smarter business outcomes. There's a lot of other ISVs here, beyond your traditional workstation ISVs that more and more customers are adopting, more and more of these companies and firms are monetizing for helping to deliver the tool sets, the frameworks, libraries for customers just to get started. A lot of it is based on open source availability, which is great because it does, John said it very perfectly, the democratization of access for some of these tools. This is kind of what we're talking about in accessing these initial tool sets to get started on your project, your initiative, your strategy with artificial intelligence in general. And by the way, that's not necessarily just generative AI, right? There's classical techniques and traditional AI that can still be used to solve business problems, robotic process automation, deep learning on the more intense side for certain use cases that require a little bit more matrix math and complex solving. We have a fantastic customer use case that's an oldie but a goodie, and I'll show you guys at the end here. But there's a lot of different phases here, and when we look at the overall Lenovo solution landscape, I mean, the good news is partnering with CDW and Lenovo, of course, end to end. There's solution building blocks to help any customer get started or wherever they are on that journey. What's in the yellow box is really where workstations can work, especially as I mentioned, just getting started. So whether it's the data science aspect of it, the preparation, the cleansing, visualization, model selection, before the precursor work, before you get into any type of deployment or training, right? And even some of the small data set training and even retraining, fine tuning can be done on something like a ThinkStation P10. Again, as you're kind of on that continuum before you scale out into something that's full scale execution, right? So that far left bucket there, that's the infrastructure solutions group offerings that Lenovo and CDW partner with to kind of crystallize the scalable end of that journey, the large scale extreme service delivery, right? Inferencing, as I said, more and more this is coming to the professional workflows within workstations. We've obviously have a lot of excitement in our PC group with Lenovo with AI PC, and workstations are certainly a part of that. That's part of the consumption, the inferencing, general purpose, quality of life enhancement workflows, even just for things like this, an audio video enhancement on a or dynamic noise suppression on a call like this, or a Zooms or a team call. The GPU is certainly part of that landscape, and that's something we're excited about as we see the evolution of AI PC or even AI workstation to a degree. It just depends on the level of complexity of what you're doing as a contributor or a individual contributor or a leader within your company. If we look at specifically double clicking on the data science side, right? This is kind of based on some research that we've gotten from technical business research and a lot of survey data looking at where most of the time is spent for the preparation and the getting started aspects of that journey. And what we found that is 85% of a data scientist's time is spent on that. And I don't want to say it's boring or mundane work, but it's necessary work to ensure that what's going to be trained, what's going to be deployed is fine-tuned. At least you get it as close as you can before full deployment, and getting time to value, getting time to an answer faster, getting time to a decision faster for whatever efficiency or product you might be monetizing. So whether it's broken down by data preparation, cleansing, the reporting and representation, as I mentioned, you can do so much of this on one of our Intel-based ThinkStations you see there on the left, whether it's our P5 all the way up to our ThinkStation P10. The beauty of those solutions is they are built on the same DNA, the same subsystems as a lot of our infrastructure solutions for when you're scaling on that journey, right? Xeon processors, ECC memory, super fast storage, but obviously NVIDIA professional graphics cards and that CUDA ecosystem that many of customers creating, the practitioners of AI designing these systems, implementing these systems, what they're building on, right? From a software underlying tools and framework perspective. So as you're getting started on that journey, the value there is you can break down the barrier of access to allow for, again, more democratization to some of these technologies. And we know that 43%, as of late last year, in terms of a TBR report, are actively deploying generative AI to automate and optimize core tasks within their environments. And we can only expect this to continue. Obviously, as John shared, the CIO imperatives, it's a top initiative overall for both efficiencies, but also revenue delivering activities and initiatives within organizations, which is exciting, especially as we look at things like the AI Innovators Program and where customers are wanting to move forward on their journey working with Lenovo, and obviously CDW helping us from a consultant and building block solution perspective. We talked about some of the other challenges, put together pretty nicely, but when we look at another takeaway, more or less, the pain points of just overall generative AI. Obviously, a lot of this is starting at the top and the imperative of what we're trying to accomplish. But then when it gets to brass tacks, well, how do we actually do it? Sometimes the expertise, not necessarily in-house, or the cost of capital, of course, can be a barrier. The actual data size can be certainly a barrier as well. Some of these models nowadays are a lot easier to obtain. Of course, you have security concerns with regard to governance and the explainability of that data. There's a whole suite of challenges, of course, in terms of the pain. But again, the takeaway here for us today is when we look at getting started, the on-ramp to that AI journey, a ThinkStation, a Lenovo ThinkStation, or even a Lenovo ThinkPad can certainly help address some of these pain points overall, just to kind of get started and start exploring the capabilities. So I'll just quickly spotlight a couple of our new products that are solutions that are building blocks for solutions this year. And one of the great stories we've had, one of the great stories we've had is with AMD and our new Threadripper Pro platform. So the ThinkStation P8, all new, amazing data center or data scientist toolkit, toolbox, if you will, that is now available. So from the most advanced kind of t-shirt sizes of these workflows, you have that solution. And then of course our mobile workstation and our P16 Gen 2. This is desktop replacement performance. So if you want a mobile product, we have that solution available to getting started on lower model sizes or lower kind of precursor workflows for deploying and building AI solutions. And I'll end here, as I mentioned, in terms of a real world use case. It's very powerful. Some of you on the phone may be familiar with this. And there's a link here. We can certainly make sure you all have this as a takeaway, but Texomed is a partner of ours. It's a medical device startup out of Israel. And they designed a medical device using deep learning to actively visualize a surgical procedure called thermal ablation for cancer treatment. At the time, it was pretty, at the time of creation, the ideation around this technology, it was based on a pretty big problem in treatment of cancer in this particular procedure, wherein you're reliant on classical medical imaging techniques, aka CT scan, take a picture of the body, put the surgical plan together, go perform the surgery and the procedure, take another picture. Let's make sure we got everything. Let's make sure we didn't damage any good cells. And if you didn't get everything, or you did, there's a pretty poor patient experience and not the best outcome, right? So they have to go do the procedure again. So what Texomed did is create a device that visualizes in real time the area on which thermal ablation is being applied for that surgeon, for that care provider, so that you minimize the need for additional treatment, and you really solve a pretty big problem that obviously impacts a lot of us. So I'd encourage you to take a look at that. The catch there is that's a 6-year-old use case. So kind of to John's point earlier, that's deep learning. That's something we've been involved with for a very long time with NVIDIA, and it's a very powerful story that still resonates today for sure. So with that, I'm going to pass it to Alejandro for Practical AI on the Edge update.
Yeah, perfect. Thanks, Aaron. Okay, hello everyone. So let's start with the AI practical use cases. But before that, I want to start with a definition of what is edge. So next, please. For me, it's very simple. Edge is compute power outside of a central location. I said data center. I know it says data center on the slide. Outside of central location. Usually we say the edge is the location. It can be a remote office, a branch office, a retail store, a convenience store, a gas station, a traffic light, a camera that is on the light pole, something like that, and has some compute. That's the edge. Why the edge? Because you are bringing the compute power as close as possible to where data is being generated. And the reason to get that compute power close is on the right side. what is driving the edge? There's too much data to move to somewhere else, to move to the cloud, a central location. There's a lot of cost involved when you move that information to a central location. Also, you need to act on that information as soon as possible as it generates. So we talked about latency and privacy and security, and I'll dig in some of those drivers in a moment when I talk on the practical side. So with the edge, when we bring that compute power closer to where data is being generated and consumed, we unlock business value and we enable new use cases. So the use cases directly. So the first one I want to mention is this one. This is related to industrial safety. And this is a customer in AP in Australia. And the problem they had was security. And in North America, usually we talk about OSHA or regulatory organizations that if there's an incident, something bad happened, someone fell and broke a bone, probably you need to report that, and there's some investigation, maybe some fines. And the problem for this company was related to that, how they can improve the security and the safety inside the manufacturing side. But what you are seeing on the screen is basically a camera that was already there, doing nothing, well, just recording, but no one was checking the video. And we included some compute power close to the camera to generate this information. So we identified that's a person walking, that's a forklift, that's the distance between the people and the equipment. We created exclusionary zones or not trespassing zones. And with that, the company can generate actions in real time. So imagine that forklift gets very close to a person, you can blur an alarm, you can make a visual and some noise, so people say, hey, watch out. And just with that, they reduce the number of incidents. And again, here, the thing is, we are using RTSP that refers to you see that on the slide on the left side. RTSP, that's the protocol that the cameras use to transmit the video. Then all the cameras or most of the cameras use that protocol. But the customer already have the cameras. We help them to connect with our AI ISVs, like the one that John introduced at the beginning. And with that, we start doing this kind of process. The other thing here is, back for a moment. The other thing here, when we're talking about this kind of solutions, or let's say this one for safety, it doesn't need to be real time all the time. So for example, sometimes you just need to check that person has the PPE. They're wearing a helmet, they're wearing a vest, they're wearing whatever is needed. And then you can get a report, or the security manager can get a report by the end of the week saying, yes, Alejandro didn't wear a helmet 3 times this week. So probably Alejandro needs to do some retraining. And with that, they enforce the training and the security. And in this particular case for this company, they reduce the number of incidents just in the first 3 months by 31%. And that number is growing because now they have that number saying days without accidents going very, very big. Now, the next one. Thank you. So this is another example of using compute power or edge compute power closer to where data is being generated. And this one involves security and privacy. So the case here is this quick service restaurant. And the problem was raised big for the company during the pandemic. They need to automate the drive-through because people didn't want to work on the restaurants at that time. So they have problem hiring people and retaining people to operate the drive-through. So they say, hey, can we do something with technology? So we help them again to connect the pieces that they needed and bring a solution. And the solution is simple when you think about it. You go in your car, you get to the drive-through and you ask, hey, can I get this burger and this soda and this fries, whatever? And the trick here is that there's an NLP. NLP goes for natural language processing model. So you are talking with a computer program that interprets, that understands what you are saying and translate that to text. So when you are talking, that NLP program is translating that, putting that on your screen, and you say, yes, I agree, that's what I want, click, and then they send the order to the kitchen. It looks like simple, but for them that automate that operation, they reduce the number of people that they need uh, for those positions. And then only in most of the cases, 85% of the orders, there's only one person interacting. Can you confirm this or that? And always the guy that brings you the brown bag and pass that through your window. You see also the license plate recognition there. And here in the US, there are some states that allow that and others that don't. So because they treat that as a private information. But in the states that allow that piece of information to be captured, they can say things like, hey, hello person, hello customer, do you want the same? Do you want the same thing that you ordered last time? Because that identifies that, hey, I recognize this last license plate. I recognize that this is the order or the last order they have. So I want to make that frictionless for the customer. So customer just see that and say, yes, that's what I want. It's what I order, I don't know, once a week. So yes, order. And that makes that very, very quickly. In this case, again, it wasn't feasible to put a big connection pipe to the cloud, send all that information somewhere else to be processed, the voice, the video, and the interaction with the screen. It makes a lot of sense to have that locally. And that been a great solution for this customer. They are increasing the order, the throughput, the number of cars that they can serve during rush time, and the period of time to serve customers is getting shorter and shorter. Next one, please. This is one close to my heart. I work on this one. This is a big city in Latin America. A big city, I mean that's a 8 million people city. And the thing that they had is they already have cameras in the city, but the thing that triggered the conversation with this customer was how to monitor 3,000 cameras. And when you think, how many people do you need to do that? How many people do you think that you need to monitor 3,000 cameras? You see, say, I don't know, a couple hundreds. But in this case, the city that didn't have the real estate, the physical space to have the working station for these people just monitoring cameras. And that, yes, that can bring some returns on what are you doing, how you interact with the cameras. But in the end, it was like, they have something that they want to improve security, and they were putting more people to help on that and say, we need to have something else. So they start thinking, they need to put technology to work for them. And we help them with our compute platform that can help them to interact with the cameras in real time. And you see the pole on the right side of the screen. And on top of that pole, there are 3 cameras and a 360 camera on top. And what you see on the door, those are the edge compute devices that are processing those cameras feeds. They are doing all the things that you see on the icons on the center, all those things, they can measure that in real time. So now, instead of being reactive or reactive, but with a long response time, they are reactive but real time. So let's say that they have, I don't know, 30 people monitoring 3,000 cameras, but those 30 people receive only an alert. So they are like dispatching tickets. They see trespassing, pop, they see that, they double click, they check the video feed in real time, they understand what is happening, and they say, okay, the alert was saying trespassing, but they check the video. No, it was probably something that walked through the grass of a family house for a moment and then keep moving. I don't know. No one knows why, but it's not trespassing, move on. But if there's something bad that's happening, like person lying down, probably it was a hit and run, and they check on the cameras and they say, okay, yes, there's someone on the floor, or probably they fell, they stumbled, it was a hit and run, whatever, but they see that and say, okay, now we can trigger some actions. So now they are increasing the sense of security of the city. They're reducing the time to answer those actions, those events, and now they are creating more and more use cases around that. So they are even trying to find lost pets. They are trying to check if the garbage box is completely empty when the garbage truck comes. So they're doing more and more things with the camera they already have. But they say, I already have the compute power, I can do more and more. And the next one, please. And this is one of the new ones last year. This is also in LATAM. This is a company called Grupo Pinza. Grupo Pinza, they do commercial fishing. So they are the biggest tuna fish company in LATAM. And the problem they had is they have vessels. They have around 100 vessels. And to put compute power in those vessels is very expensive, because then you have to think about some certifications to put compute power there. So usually they say, I don't know what to do. And if you click next, I think that the video, there's a video that will start. I don't know if you are sharing my audio, but you get that. Yes.
Let me reshare with my audio, if that's okay. Sorry,
Okay.
I'm sorry, guys. 1 second.
Yeah, no problem.
I'll share with
No problem.
audio.
While you do that, I have to talking. So for this company, and I'll move forward with what you're going to see on the video. Those vessels are on the sea for 60 days. So it's very important for them to plan what they're going to do, what they're going to put in the vessels for people that are going to live there fishing tuna for 2 months. And they travel thousands of miles. So they need really to plan ahead. But they need to, if they overplan or oversupply and bring more stuff than they need, then they are wasting space to get more. Let's see the video now.
We fish more than 75,000 tons per year. We are the largest fleet in Latin America, which is why efficiency is the most important thing. Tuna fishing is a
I think stop.
complicated process. You have to be locating, chasing, and capturing it. A tuna never sleeps. We wanted to get away from precarious processes, such as the spreadsheets that were used, and that is why we chose Lenovo. Lenovo Edge servers are so compact that they fit into the small deck of a ship. And they are tough enough to withstand sea conditions. Thanks to Lenovo, we can process thousands of records in real time that help the company's decision making. Our fleet is better coordinated than ever.
So they are using the servers to do 2 things. The first thing, they're managing the operation of the boat. Before the boat starts sailing, they upload all the information that they think that they are going to use, the maintenance records, everything that is needed to operate. But also when they are using AI to validate and count what they are catching. So they can say, I catch a couple of tons of tuna, I'm going to do this and this, and they get that in real time. And they need that processing on the boats because you're in the middle of the ocean. You don't have high bandwidth internet connection. You probably have a bad satellite connection that is cloud is not working. So they need to process the information there. And that has helped to optimize, to get a sustainable operation, reduce waste, and increase agility, how they can operate. Next one. John mentioned this a little, and you can click probably 3-4 times. Mention this briefly. La Jolla is one success story, and you see that the format's a little different. The problem with La Jolla is they want to increase the security and protect students and staff from gun-related violence. And they say, okay, again, they already have the cameras. Say, how can we connect and how can we increase and protect the students and staff? They say, we need some AI that can help with the threat detections. So it's a big school, it's 24 acres, more than 1,000 students plus faculty members. So it's a big city, it's a big school. The challenge they have is to reduce or protect or prevent that. The solution, again, they are using edge servers in the school to process the cameras using some accelerated GPUs. Right now, they're monitoring 125 cameras, and they have accuracy of 90%. So if there's some gun-related actions on campus, like someone with a concealed weapon or someone showing a gun, whatever, they can raise alarms real time and act accordingly. This is good, this is bad. Again, this is something that wasn't possible before. You need a lot of people to start monitoring 24/7 and probably one per camera. So it's not feasible to do that one by one. In this case, that is very, very important. But this is another case when to have that compute power there locally was the answer to the situation they want to solve. Next one. I like this one to close because data is everywhere. And you saw examples in restaurants, in fishing boats, schools, cities, everywhere. And you see there, the data can be in houses, transportation, sports, energy generation, in the field, in agriculture, manufacturing, supermarkets, everywhere. Data is everywhere. And edge computing is designed and created to be there, to compute that power, to generate new insight and generate new value using that data. And that's my last one for today.
Awesome.
Thank
Good
you,
stuff.
Alejandro.
Thank you.
So, Emily, do we have any questions in the chat, or does anybody want to open their mic and hop on and ask any questions?
So far, there's none in the chat, but feel free to come off mute or put them in the chat if you have any.
There was one question there from John regarding video surveillance. I'm not sure if you guys can see that.
That was me. That was
Okay.
me just making a comment while Alejandro was talking about video surveillance. Right. So again, for those that didn't see that in the chat, for those folks, if you're doing video surveillance today and you're not looking to bring AI to that to start delivering video intelligence, you're basically lighting money on fire. Because basically all you're doing is storing data and hoping nothing happens and you have to go and look back at it. Video intelligence, like we talked about with La Jolla County, and the example Alejandro gave us with the warehouse. Again, that's using all your existing cameras that you already have for video surveillance, and now it's making them intelligent. And it's actually giving you an opportunity to start making your data actionable in real time. If we don't have any questions, we'll give everybody 12 minutes back on their day. Going once,
Let's do that.
going twice.
Yeah, I think we'll get you guys the slides, you all the slides, and if there's spots where you want to learn more, understand more about what Lenovo's doing in terms of our overall AI solution strategy. We had a lot of great announcements just a month ago at NVIDIA's GTC. And it's really cool because again, end to end, like we're representing, like you heard today, representation from our overall thought leadership within the promise of AI, practical applications with edge computing, exploratory kind of experimentation opportunities with workstations, and obviously the consultative approach and getting some of that expertise partnered through Lenovo and CDW, of course, with our AI services COE. So some things to think about. Each of these pillars that are latest and greatest in our, and what's new at Lenovo, I would say, they're links. You can go right to the Tech Today websites, postings if you hadn't seen them already, as a takeaway. So I did want to leave everybody with that in terms of kind of a takeaway, if you will. So thank you all so much for your time.
Thanks
and
all.
thank you to our
Have a fabulous
presenters.
day.
Thanks,
everyone.
everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Take
Bye.
care, everybody.
Thanks, everyone. Take care. Bye.